They say some secrets should stay buried. My mother buried hers for 24 years. A ring, a love, a lie. 3 days ago, I spilled wine on the wrong table. Tonight, I'm standing in front of 5 Mafia dons, holding the key to New York's underworld, and my cousin's gun is pointed at my head. Wait, scratch that, not my cousin. The man who wants me dead. To understand how a Brooklyn waitress became the heir to a criminal empire, you need to know 3 things: a ring, a mother's secret, and the most dangerous man in New York, who turned out to be my father. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back. 70 hours earlier, before the blood, before the truth, before everything changed. Tuesday, November 12th, 8:15 p.m., the Sapphire Room, Williamsburg, Brooklyn. The rain that night didn't wash Brooklyn clean. It just made everything slicker. Inside the Sapphire Room, the air was thick with roasted garlic, expensive cologne, and the particular kind of tension that comes from serving people who can destroy your life with a phone call. My name is Riley Bennett, 22 years old, waitress, broke, exhausted. I had been on my feet for 11 hours straight, picking up a double shift because my mother needed another round of breathing treatments the insurance wouldn't cover. The bruise on my hip from bumping into table 4 during lunch rush still ached every time I turned. I was refilling water glasses at table 3 when Mr. Walsh grabbed my arm. His face was the color of old newspaper. Sweat beaded in his receding hairline like morning dew on dead grass. Table 7, he hissed. VIPs, very important VIPs. Do not, and I repeat, do not screw this up. You speak only when spoken to. You pour from the right, and for God's sake, keep your eyes down. I nodded, pulling my arm free. Who is it? The mayor? Walsh's voice dropped to a whisper that somehow felt louder than a shout. Dominic Castellano. The kitchen went silent. Even the dishwasher stopped clanking plates. The name hung in the air like smoke. Dominic Castellano wasn't just a name in New York. It was a frequency, a warning, a promise. I didn't know who he was. I'd spent my life with my head down, working, studying, surviving. I didn't read the crime section. I didn't watch the news. I lived in a bubble of shift schedules and medical bills. The head chef, a 60-year-old Italian man named Tony, stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You don't know? Girl, where have you been living? I shrugged. He explained in rapid-fire sentences. Dominic Castellano, head of the ruling crime family, controlled the docks, construction, unions. Survived 3 federal indictments without spending a night in jail. The ghost of Brooklyn. Hadn't been seen in public for 6 months. Albanian threats. Assassination attempts. My hands started shaking as I grabbed the bottle of 1995 Opus 1 from the wine cellar. $2,000. More than I made in a month. I didn't know then that Dominic Castellano was the most dangerous man in New York. I didn't know his name meant power, violence, money. I didn't know he was my father. I adjusted my apron, took a deep breath, and walked out onto the floor. Table 7 sat in this back corner, cordoned off by velvet ropes. 3 men surrounded the table like human walls. Thick necks, dead eyes, hands that never strayed far from their jacket interiors. But the man in the center was different. Dominic Castellano was 58 years old and wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than my yearly rent. Silver gray hair swept back from a face carved from marble and bitter experience. A scar cut through his left eyebrow, giving him a permanent look of skepticism. On his wrist, a Rolex Submariner caught the dim chandelier light. He wasn't looking at the menu. He was staring at a glass of water, like it held the answers to questions he'd stopped asking years ago. I approached the table, my pulse hammered in my throat. Good evening, gentlemen. I have the Opus 1 you requested. One of the bodyguards, a man with a neck like a tree trunk, moved to intercept me. But Dominic raised a single finger. The bodyguard retreated like a pig called to heel. Pour, Dominic said. His voice was gravel wrapped in silk. I moved to his right, uncorked the bottle with hands that trembled just slightly. And then, because I've never been good at keeping my mouth shut when I'm nervous, I started talking. 1995, Opus 1, Stro, Napa Valley, Bordeaux-style blend, Cabernet Sauvignon dominant. This vintage scored 96 points from Wine Spectator. Notes of blackberry, cassis, and your father ordered this exact vintage the night of the Manhattan dock workers' strike in 1982. Dominic's head snapped up. Silence crashed over the table like a wave. The bodyguard's hand moved toward his jacket. I realized too late that I'd said something very, very wrong. How do you know that? Dominic's voice was quiet, deadly quiet. I swallowed hard. I study wine. I have photographic memory. I read the restaurant's records from 1975 to now. Once I read something I never forget. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. You memorized 40 years of wine orders. It wasn't a question. It was an accusation. 48 years, actually, I said, and immediately wished I hadn't. We opened in 1975. I like to learn. Dominic studied my face. Something flickered in his ice-gray eyes. Recognition, confusion, pain. That's when he saw it. As I tilted the bottle, my sleeve rode up. The chain around my wrist caught the light. Dominic's hands shot out faster than I thought possible for a man his age. His fingers wrapped around my wrist like iron. The wine bottle slipped from my hand. It hit the floor, shattered. Red wine spread across white tile like blood at a crime scene. The restaurant froze. Every conversation stopped. Every head turned. Dominic didn't notice. He was staring at my wrist, at the thin silver chain, at what hung from it, hidden beneath my sleeve. He pulled. The chain came free. The ring dangled between us. Black onyx, white gold. A double-headed hawk clutching a thorny rose. Hand-carved. One of a kind. Dominic Castellano, the man who never flinched, went rigid. His hand, which had been steady, started to shake. Where did you get this? My mother. She told me never to wear it. I keep it hidden. Your mother's name. It wasn't a request. Sophia Bennett. Dominic stood up. 6'2" of controlled violence uncoiling like a spring. He towered over me, casting a shadow that seemed to swallow the light. Sophia Rossi, he said. Number Bennett. Sophia Bennett. Bennett is a lie. Rossi is her name. And you are wearing the ring I gave her the night I asked her to marry me. I tried to pull back. His grip tightened. Get the car, he barked at the bodyguard. Boss, we haven't ordered. I said, get the car. Dominic looked back at me. His eyes held something I couldn't name. Terror, wonder, recognition. You're coming with me. No, I can't. My shift. Your shift is over. He pulled me toward the exit. Your life as you knew it is over. If Sophia Bennett is your mother, then we have a lot to talk about. I looked around for help. Mr. Walsh was cowering behind the host stand. The other diners looked away, terrified to intervene. In New York, you don't interfere with Dominic Castellano. We stepped out into the rain. A bulletproof Escalade idled at the curb, black and sleek as a shark. My phone buzzed in my apron pocket. A text from Mom. Where are you? We need to talk. It's about your father. Dominic saw the message over my shoulder. Tell her you're safe, he said, pushing me into the back seat. Tell her nothing else. The door slammed shut. The locks clicked. The car pulled away from the curb, tires hissing on wet pavement. Are you kidnapping me? My voice came out smaller than I wanted. Dominic stared out the window, thumb rubbing the ring on his own finger. An identical ring to mine. I'm saving you, he said, quietly. You just don't know it yet. The drive took 30 minutes. 30 minutes of silence broken only by the rain and the hum of tires on wet highway. 30 minutes of my mind racing through every possible outcome. Ransom, murder, trafficking. I'd memorize crime statistics like I'd memorize wine vintages. I knew what happened to girls who got into cars with dangerous men. But something about this felt different. Dominic wasn't looking at me like a predator looks at prey. He was looking at me like I was a ghost, like I was everything he'd lost and couldn't bear to find. We crossed into New Jersey, Upper Saddle River, old money, the kind of neighborhood where houses hide behind gates and trees, where wealth whispers instead of shouts. The Escalade turned into a gated driveway. 12-foot stone walls, armed guards, German shepherds, facial recognition cameras. The gate opened like a mouth, and we drove through. The house wasn't a house. It was a fortress dressed up as an Italian Renaissance villa. 20,000 square feet of marble and secrets. Inside, Dominic commanded. His voice had changed. Softer, almost gentle. The bodyguard opened my door. I stepped out into a world I'd only seen in movies. Marble columns, crystal chandeliers. Original art that probably cost more than my entire apartment building. Dominic led me through hallways lined with books and expensive silence. We entered a study that smelled of tobacco and old leather, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a massive desk, a Caravaggio reproduction on the wall. He poured 2 glasses of amber liquid from a crystal decanter. Drink. You look like you're going to pass out. I took the glass but didn't drink. I want to call my mother. Your mother is the reason you're here, he said. He leaned against the desk, arms crossed. Tell me about the ring, Riley. Everything. Don't lie to me. How do you know my name? I know a lot of things. The ring. Now, I found it when I was 10, snooping in Mom's room. It was in a velvet box at the bottom of her jewelry drawer. Heavy, beautiful. When she caught me with it, she screamed. I'd never seen her so angry. She cried for hours afterward. She told me it was a mistake, a reminder of a life she ran away from. Dominic closed his eyes. A look of pure pain crossed his face. A mistake, he muttered. Who are you? I demanded, finding courage I didn't know I had. Did you know her? Know her? Dominic opened his eyes. They were wet. Riley, 24 years ago, Sophia Rossi was the only thing in this world that mattered to me. He walked to the safe behind the Caravaggio, spun the dial with practiced ease, pulled out a photograph. He tossed it onto my lap. It was old, yellowed at the edges. A young couple on a boardwalk, Coney Island, fireworks in the background. The man was young, handsome, smiling in a way I couldn't imagine the Dominic in front of me doing. The woman, I gasped. It was my mother, younger, vibrant, long dark hair, but unmistakably her. I gave her that ring the night I proposed, Dominic said softly. July 3rd, 1999. Brooklyn Bridge. She said yes. 2 days later, my car was firebombed, Albanian syndicate. I survived. Barely. He sat down across from me. The expensive suit couldn't hide the exhaustion in his bones. I knew if she stayed with me, she would die. So I did the only thing I could to save her. I told her I didn't love her, ever to love her. I told her she meant nothing. I broke her heart so completely that she would leave the city. I made her hate me so she would live. I felt tears on my cheeks. She never told me. She vanished. I looked for years. Eventually I stopped. I thought she'd moved on. Married someone safe. Lived a normal life. I never knew. He stepped closer, looked at me with sudden, terrible intensity. She was pregnant when she left, wasn't she? My birthday is July 18th. Dominic did the math instantly. July 3rd to July 18th. The timeline fit perfectly. You're mine. His voice cracked. You are my daughter. I shook my head, backing into the chair. No. My father died before I was born. Mom said he was a Marine, killed in Afghanistan. I am a soldier, Dominic said, and I was dead to her. Before I could process this earth-shattering revelation, the door burst open. The bodyguard, Frank, stumbled in, breathless. Boss, we have a problem. Dominic's demeanor shifted instantly. From father to warlord. I told you I was not to be disturbed. It's Jordan. He knows. Dominic's eyes narrowed. Knows what? He knows about the girl. Someone at the restaurant talked. Jordan knows you found a connection to the past. He's already moving. Who's Jordan? I asked. Dominic turned to me. My nephew, Antonio's son. The man who's been waiting 25 years to inherit my empire. Frank continued. Boss, there's more. Jordan sent men to Sophia's apartment in Sunnyside. I screamed, my mom! Dominic grabbed his phone, barked orders into it. Send Alpha Team to 42nd Street, Sunnyside. Secure Sophia Bennett. If anyone touches her, burn the block down. He slammed the phone down, pulled a heavy pistol from a drawer, draped his jacket over my shoulders. We're leaving. Where? I was trembling. To war, Dominic said. Jordan thinks he can take my family. He's about to find out why they call me the ghost of Brooklyn. He grabbed my hand, not aggressive, protective. Stay close to me, Riley. Tonight you learn what it means to be a Castellano. As we ran toward the garage, I heard glass shatter behind us. Gunshots, shouting. The window of the study exploded inward. Bullets chewed into the wall where I'd been standing seconds before. Frank returned fire. Get down! Get down! Dominic shielded me with his body. We crawled toward the door. More bullets. The Caravaggio fell from the wall, frame splintering. They reached the garage. Dominic threw me into an armored BMW. Frank jumped into the driver's seat. The garage door was already opening. We peeled out. Bullets sparked off the rear bumper. Frank's phone rang. He answered on speaker. A voice I didn't recognize. Cold. Amused. Tell my uncle I have something he wants. Dominic grabbed the phone. Jordan. Uncle Dom. You sound stressed. Maybe it's because you just found out you have a daughter. Congratulations, by the way. 22 years late, but better late than never. What do you want? I want what's mine. The family, the ring, the empire. But I'm a reasonable man. I'll make you a deal. There was a sound in the background, a child crying. My blood went cold. That's David, I whispered. The little boy Mom babysits. Jordan's voice continued, pleasant as poison. Funny story. Turns out David is my son. And Sophia's been babysitting him for 2 years. Small world, right? Well, my men just picked him up from Sophia's apartment. Sweet kid, only 7 years old. Dominic's knuckles went white on the phone. Jordan, if you hurt that boy, hurt him? Uncle Dom, he's my son, but he's also leverage. You want him back? Bring Riley. Bring the ring. Penn Station. Track 14. Midnight tomorrow. Or David learns what it means to disappoint a Castellano. The line went dead. Silence filled the car, broken only by the sound of rain and my ragged breathing. He has a child, I whispered, and he's using him as bait. Dominic stared straight ahead. His jaw was carved from stone. Jordan's wife died 4 years ago. Cancer. He became cold after that. Neglectful. Your mother volunteered to help with David. She's been protecting him. From his own father? From the man Jordan has become. Frank spoke up from the driver's seat. Boss, this is a trap. Jordan wants to kill you and Riley at Penn Station. Take over the family before the commission can stop him. The commission? The 5 families, Dominic explained. We meet once a year, settle disputes, confirm succession. In 67 hours, they'll decide who inherits my empire, you or Jordan. My phone rang. Mom, I answered, hands shaking. Riley, baby. Where are you, Mom? Are you safe? They have David, Jordan's men. They said terrible things. Riley, you need to run. Get far away from... Dominic took the phone from my hand. Sophia. Silence. 24 years compressed into one word. Mom's voice came back. Broken. Barely a whisper. Dom, it's me. I heard her sob through the phone. You found her. Our daughter. I found her, and I'm not letting either of you go. Not this time. Jordan will kill you. Let him try. Where are you, Penn Station? Hiding. They said midnight tomorrow. Bring Riley in the ring. I'm coming for you. For David. For all of us. Dom, I never stopped loving you. Dominic's voice cracked. I know. I never stopped either. He hung up, sat in silence for a long moment. Then he pulled out another phone, made a call. Angelo, it's Dom. I need you at the forge. Now, and bring Dr. Hayes. We need a DNA test. He looked at me. In 6 hours, we'll have proof you're my daughter, by blood. By law, which means you're the rightful heir, not Jordan. What if I don't want this? What if I don't want to be part of this? Then you walk away. I'll give you $5 million. New identity, new life. You'll never see me again. And David? And Mom? I'll handle it. It's my world, my mess. I looked at the ring around my neck. My mother had kept it for 24 years. Through poverty, through loneliness, through everything. She loved him that much. No, I said, I'm not running. We're going to save David. We're going to save Mom. And then you're going to teach me how to destroy Jordan. Dominic looked at me, really looked at me. And for the first time since I'd met him, he smiled. That's my daughter. 4 a.m. The DNA results came back. Dr. Catherine Hayes stood in the concrete bunker they called the Forge, a hidden safe house in Hell's Kitchen. She held a tablet. Probability of paternity, 99.98%. Dominic Castellano is Riley Bennett's biological father. The words hung in the air. Dominic sat down, the weight of 24 years settling on his shoulders. I stood frozen. Everything I thought I knew about my life was a lie. My father wasn't a dead Marine. He was a living ghost, a killer, a king. You have a choice, Riley, Dominic said quietly. Walk away, right now. $5 million. Clean break. I thought about it, about going back to my small life, my safe life. Then I thought about David, 7 years old, crying, scared. I thought about my mother, still in love after 24 years of silence. I looked at Dominic, this man who had sacrificed everything for love. Teach me, I said. Teach me how to be a Castellano. Dominic stood, walked to a wall covered in photographs and documents. Jordan thinks he's the heir, but he's not just my enemy. He's a traitor to all 5 families. He pulled out a folder, surveillance photos, financial records, audio transcripts. Jordan's been meeting with the Albanians, selling them the docks, trafficking heroin through Brooklyn. He's not trying to preserve the family. He's trying to burn it down and sell the ashes. How do we stop him? We go to Penn Station, get David, save your mother. Then we go to the commission, and we show them exactly who Jordan Castellano really is. Angelo Russo, Dominic's consigliere, stepped forward. He was 62, gray hair, sharp eyes. Dom, if you expose Jordan at the commission, it'll start a war. The families will be forced to choose sides. Dominic checked his father's watch, the Rolex that had survived car bombs and assassination attempts. Then we make sure Jordan can't fight back. We take away his power before he knows we're coming. How? I asked. Dominic looked at me, and I saw calculation, strategy, the mind that had built an empire by making him believe he's already won. The rain stopped just before dawn. The first light broke over New York City like a wound opening, red and raw and beautiful. I stood on the roof of the forge, looking out over a city I thought I knew, a city that had just become something else entirely. Dominic joined me, silent. We stood side by side, father and daughter, strangers and family. In 67 hours, the commission meets, he said. They'll decide who inherits, you or Jordan. And if they choose him, then we make them regret it. I looked at the ring around my neck. Heavy, cold, powerful. What does it open? The ring. You said it was a key. Dominic smiled. Grim. A vault. In Zurich. 50 years of blackmail. Every judge we own, every politician, every dirty cop, every secret that keeps this city running. Whoever holds that ring controls New York. And you gave it to my mother. I gave it to the only person I ever trusted. The only person I ever loved. The sun rose higher. The city woke up. Sirens wailed in the distance. New York, indifferent to the small human dramas playing out in its shadows. We're going to save David, I said. It wasn't a question. We're going to save everyone, Dominic replied. And then we're going to change everything. The ghost of Brooklyn put his hand on my shoulder. The waitress from Williamsburg stood straighter. The game had begun, and in 67 hours the world would know the name Riley Castellano. Wednesday, November 13th, 7 a.m. 60 hours until the commission meeting. I didn't sleep. How could I? 24 hours ago, I was a waitress. Now I was the daughter of New York's most dangerous man, and somewhere in this city, a 7-year-old boy was being held hostage by his own father. The forge didn't look like much from the outside, a condemned industrial building in Hell's Kitchen covered in graffiti and rust. But inside, it was a tactical command center. Monitors lined the walls, displaying live feeds from traffic cameras across the city. Men with guns paced the perimeter. This was Dominic's war room. Angelo Russo sat at a long table covered in maps and photographs. He looked up as I entered, his weathered face creasing into something that might have been a smile. You look like your mother, he said. Same eyes, same stubborn jaw. Did you know where, back then? I was there the night Dominic proposed. Coney Island, 4th of July. She wore a white dress and laughed like the whole world was made of light. Angelo's voice went soft. Your father was a different man then, capable of joy. What changed him? Love, and the choice to destroy it to keep it safe. Dominic entered carrying coffee and paper cups. He'd changed into tactical gear. Black, functional. The suit was gone. This was the soldier, not the Don. Frank's running reconnaissance on the warehouse in Red Hook, Dominic said, spreading a blueprint across the table. Jordan's holding David there. 15 armed men. Albanians. This isn't just hostage holding. This is a trap. Then we don't spring it, I said. We go around it. Dominic looked at me with something like pride. Exactly. 8 a.m., the education. Before we could save anyone, I needed to understand what I was stepping into. Angelo pulled out a chart. 5 names, 5 photographs, 5 old men who controlled everything. The commission, he explained, 5 families. They've run New York since Prohibition. They settled disputes, confirm succession, prevent all-out war. He pointed to each face. Don Carmine Falcone, 81 years old, runs Atlantic City casinos. Neutral, traditional. He's the chairman. His vote counts double. Don Vincent Russo, 65. Waste management, Bronx unions, allied with your father. Angelo paused. He's my older cousin. We grew up together. He trusts Dominic because I trust Dominic. Don Anthony Moretti, 54. Political connections. Controls judges, lawyers. Unknown allegiance. Smart. Dangerous. Don Marcus Genovese, 59. Real estate. Manhattan high-rises. Opportunistic. He'll side with whoever's winning. And Jordan, Angelo said, tapping the 5th photo. Your cousin, 33. He's not a Don yet. But if Dominic dies before the commission meets, Jordan inherits by default. So Jordan needs me dead, I said slowly. And Dominic dead before Friday night. Exactly. Which is why Jordan's meeting with the Albanians isn't about peace. It's about power. He's promising them the docks in exchange for their support. What do the docks have to do with anything? Everything, Dominic said. He'd been listening from the doorway. The docks are the gateway to America. Shipping, imports. Everything that comes into New York comes through Brooklyn. Control the docks, you control the flow of money. Legal and illegal. And Jordan's selling them? To foreigners? Angelo nodded. To the same Albanians who tried to kill your father 24 years ago. It's not just betrayal. It's treason against all 5 families. Can we prove it? Dominic pulled out his phone. Played an audio recording, Jordan's voice. Tinny but clear. The heroin shipment arrives Tuesday. Dock 12, 200 kilos. I'll make sure the inspectors look the other way. Another voice, accented, Albanian. And the boy, David? Jordan's reply was cold. My son is leverage, nothing more. Use him however you need. Just make sure Dominic shows up tomorrow night with the ring. The recording ended. I felt sick. He'd sell out his own child? Jordan's father died when he was 8, Dominic said quietly. Watching someone you love bleed out changes you. It can make you stronger, or it can hollow you out. Jordan chose hollow. 9:30 a.m., the skill. I need to know what you can do, Dominic said. You said you have photographic memory. Prove it. He spread out 20 photographs. Crime scene photos. Faces, license plates, documents. Study these for 60 seconds. I looked at each image. My brain clicked in Word like a camera. Faces burned into memory. Numbers locked in place. Details cataloged and filed. Done. Dominic swept the photos away. Pulled out a blank notepad. Tell me what you saw. I closed my eyes. Saw the images again. Perfect and clear. First photo, male. Caucasian. Approximately 45 years old. Scar on left temple. Wearing Armani suit, navy blue. Ring on right hand, gold. Insignia of a crowned lion. Second photo, license plate, New York. 7 Charlie Mike Hotel. 492 vehicle. Black Mercedes S-Class. Third photo, I went through all 20. Every detail. Perfect recall. When I finished, Dominic was staring at me. Your mother could do that too, he said softly. She memorized entire legal briefs. Could recite them word for word months later. I always thought she should have been a lawyer. What happened? She fell in love with me. And that was the end of her future. I looked at him, at this man who'd sacrificed everything for love and gotten nothing but loneliness in return. We're getting her back, I said, her and David. And then we're ending Jordan. Dominic nodded. Then it's time you learned how to fight. 11 a.m., the preparation. Frank Mancini returned from reconnaissance. He spread surveillance photos across the table. David's being held in Warehouse 7. Old shipping facility, Red Hook. 15 guards. Mix of Jordan's men and Albanian contractors. They're armed, AR-15s. Pistols. They're expecting an assault, so we don't assault, I said. We infiltrate. Dominic looked at me. Go on. I pointed to the blueprint. There's a water access point, old sewage tunnel, runs from the harbor straight into the warehouse basement. They won't be watching it because it's been condemned for 20 years. Frank pulled up a survey map. She's right, tunnel's still there, flooded but passable. And once we're inside, Dominic asked. I studied the layout, memorizing, planning. David's probably in the office, 2nd floor, southwest corner, away from the main entrance. If they're using him as bait, they'll keep him visible but protected. We go in through the basement, up the service stairs, extract him through the same route. In and out before they know we're there. Angela whistled low. She's got your tactical mind, Dom. Dominic smiled. It was a dangerous smile. She's got her mother's brains and my ruthlessness. Jordan doesn't stand a chance. 1 p.m., the approach. We went in 3 vehicles. Dominic, Frank, and I in the lead car. Angelo and 6 soldiers in backup. The rain had returned, drumming against the windshield like nervous fingers. I wore tactical gear that Frank had found. Black. Too big. A bulletproof vest that made me feel like a child playing dress-up. Dominic had given me a pistol. A Glock 19. Compact, light. I don't know how to use this, I'd said. Point, squeeze, don't pull. Squeeze, and Riley, don't use it unless you have to. Now we were parked 3 blocks from the warehouse. Waiting, watching. Last chance to walk away, Dominic said. You can wait in the car. Frank and I will get David. I looked at him, at this man who was my father, who'd spent 24 years in self-imposed exile because he loved too much. That little boy calls my mother Nana. I'm not letting him die scared and alone. Dominic's hand found mine. Squeezed. Your mother would be proud. Let's make sure she gets the chance to tell me. 2:15 p.m., the infiltration. The water tunnel smelled like death and rust. We waded through 3 feet of black water, flashlights cutting weak circles in the dark. Rats scattered from our approach. The ceiling dripped condensation that felt like cold fingers on the back of my neck. Frank led, then me. then Dominic. We moved in silence. The tunnel opened into the warehouse basement. Flooded storage. Broken crates. The ghost of industry passed. We climbed concrete stairs, water streaming from our clothes. Frank held up a fist. Stop. Above us, footsteps. Voices speaking in Albanian. Frank crept forward, looked around the corner, held up 2 fingers. 2 guards. Dominic moved like smoke. One moment he was beside me. The next he was behind the first guard, hand clamped over the man's mouth. The guard struggled. Dominic's arm tightened around his throat. 10 seconds. The guard went limp. Frank took the second guard the same way. Quick, silent, professional. They dragged the unconscious men into a storage closet, zip-tied their hands and feet, gagged them. We moved to the service stairs, 2nd floor. The sounds of men talking, smoking, radios crackling. Frank pointed to the office. Southwest corner, just like I predicted. The door was closed, 1 guard outside. I need a distraction, Frank whispered. I stepped forward before I could think better of it. I'll do it. Dominic grabbed my arm. No, I pulled free, trust me. I walked down the hallway, loud, obvious. The guard turned, saw me. His eyes went wide. Excuse me, I said in my best scared waitress voice. I'm looking for the bathroom. Who the hell are you? The guard raised his rifle. I'm lost. My car broke down and I saw this building and I just needed to use a bathroom and I kept babbling, moving closer. The guard was confused, distracted. Frank appeared behind him. Quick strike to the temple with the butt of his pistol. The guard crumpled. We dragged him into the office. David was there, 7 years old, blonde hair, blue eyes red from crying, tied to a chair, bruises on his arms. When he saw us, he tried to scream. Dominic knelt in front of him, removing the gag. David, I'm Dominic. I'm a friend of Nana Clara's. We're here to take you home. David looked at me. Miss Riley? He recognized me from the times I'd picked up my mother from babysitting. Hey, buddy, I said, untying him. We're going to get you out of here. Is Nana okay? She's safe, and she can't wait to see you. Footsteps in the hallway, lots of them. We'd been discovered. Move, Dominic commanded. We ran. 2:30 p.m., the escape. Gunfire erupted behind us. Bullets chewed into walls. Concrete dust filled the air. Frank returned fire. Go. Go! We reached the service stairs, started descending. Jordan's voice echoed through the warehouse. Stop them! I want that girl alive! We hit the basement, splashed through black water. The tunnel entrance was 20 feet away. More gunfire. Closer now. Frank stumbled, grunted. His shoulder bloomed red. Frank, I screamed. Keep moving, he gasped. I'll hold them. No one gets left behind, Dominic roared. But Frank had already turned, firing up the stairs, laying down cover. Boss, go. It's been an honor. Frank. But we were out of time. Dominic grabbed David, threw him over his shoulder, grabbed my hand. We plunged into the tunnel. Behind us, gunfire intensified, then stopped. I knew what that meant. I bit my lip to keep from sobbing. We ran through the tunnel, water splashing, David crying, my lungs burning. We emerged into gray afternoon light. The harbor, the backup team was there with boats. Get in, Angelo shouted. We jumped. The boat roared to life, pulled away from the dock. Bullets hit the water around us. But we were fast, and they were too late. 4 p.m., the safe house. David was asleep, wrapped in blankets. Dr. Hayes had examined him, bruised but not broken. He'd cried for his Nana Clara. Dominic had promised she was coming. I sat in the corner, staring at nothing. Frank was dead, a man I'd barely known. Dead because of me. Dominic sat beside me. This isn't your fault. He died saving us. He died doing his job, protecting family. That's the highest honor in our world. Your world, not mine. Dominic was quiet for a long moment. 24 hours ago, I would have agreed. But you walked into that warehouse. You saved David. You didn't hesitate. You didn't run. That makes it your world now, whether you want it or not. I didn't want it, but I understood it. In this life, there were no innocent bystanders. You were in, or you were dead. Frank knew the risks, Dominic said. He made his choice. Honor it by making his sacrifice mean something. How? By winning. 6 p.m., the reunion. Sophia arrived at sundown. Angelo brought her in a separate car. Security measures, precautions. When she stepped out, I barely recognized her. The woman from the photograph, young and vibrant, was gone. In her place was someone worn down by years of hard work and harder choices. But her eyes were the same. Dark, deep, seeing everything. She saw me first, Riley. Mom. We collided in the middle of the room. She held me so tight I couldn't breathe. I didn't care. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry I didn't tell you. It's okay. It's okay. But it wasn't okay. Nothing was okay. She pulled back, looked at me, really looked. You found him. He found me. Sophia turned, saw Dominic standing in the doorway. 24 years collapsed into that moment. She walked toward him slowly, like approaching a wild animal or a ghost. They stopped 3 feet apart. Dom. Sophia. Silence. The weight of 2 decades. Then Sophia slapped him. The crack echoed through the room. Dominic didn't move, didn't react. That's for breaking my heart. She slapped him again. That's for making me raise our daughter alone. Then she grabbed his face and kissed him. And that's for saving her. Dominic wrapped his arms around her. They stood there, 2 people who'd lost everything and somehow found each other again. After a long moment, Sophia pulled back. She turned to me, reached for my hand, gently pushed up my sleeve, revealing the thin white scar on my wrist. You still have it, she whispered. The scar. What happened? Dominic asked, looking between us. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. Christmas Eve. Riley was 2 years old. I was wrapping presents. She grabbed a glass ornament from the tree. It shattered, cut both of us. Her wrist, my hand. She held up her own hand. A matching scar ran across her palm. I always thought of it as our secret connection, Sophia said softly. Even when I ran from you, Dom, I couldn't run from her. We were bound, blood and scars. Dominic took both our hands, looked at the matching scars. You were always connected, he said quietly. I just didn't know it. I turned away. Some moments are too private for witnesses. But I was smiling. 8 p.m., the strategy. We gathered around the table. Dominic, Sophia, Angelo, me. David was sleeping in the next room, guarded by 4 soldiers. The commission meets in 40 hours, Angelo said. We need a plan. I've been thinking about that, I said. All eyes turned to me. Jordan's biggest weapon is surprise. He doesn't think we know about his Albanian deals. He doesn't think we have proof. Dominic nodded. Go on. So we let him keep thinking that. We show up at the commission. Present me as your heir. Force him to challenge us publicly. And when he does, we play the recordings, Sophia finished. Show everyone what he really is. It's risky, Angelo said. If the commission thinks we're causing instability, they might rule against us anyway. Then we make it about honor, I said. Not about me, not about Dominic, about Jordan betraying all 5 families, selling to the Albanians, using his own son as leverage. We make it impossible for them to side with him. The girl's right, Angelo said. Make it about the code, about honor. That's language the commission understands. Dominic stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city lights. There's one problem. Jordan has Moretti in his pocket. Maybe Genovese too. Even with the recordings, we might not have the votes. Then we need to flip someone, Sophia said. Who's vulnerable? Genovese, I said immediately. Everyone looked at me. He's opportunistic. He sides with winners. Right now, he thinks Jordan's winning. We need to show him he's wrong. How? Angelo asked. I pulled out my phone, started typing. I'm going to send an anonymous tip to the FBI about the heroin shipment. Dock 12 tomorrow night. When the Albanians show up and get arrested, Genovese will see that Jordan can't protect his partners, that he's weak. Dominic smiled slowly. And a weak ally is worse than no ally at all. Exactly. I sent the email. 12 hours from now, Jordan's Albanian connection would be in federal custody, and his house of cards would start collapsing. 10 p.m., the preparation. Sophia helped me change out of the wet tactical gear, found me clean clothes. We sat in a small room, just the 2 of us. Why didn't you tell me, I asked, about him, about everything? She was quiet for a long time. Because I wanted you to be normal, to have a chance at a life that didn't involve looking over your shoulder. Afraid every day that someone would use you to get to him. But you kept the ring. I kept the ring because even though he broke my heart, he did it to save my life. That kind of love doesn't just disappear. It burrows deep. It becomes part of you. Do you still love him? Sophia looked at me with eyes full of tears. I never stopped. That's the tragedy. Then why not go back? After all these years, because I had you. And you deserve better than this world. Better than midnight phone calls and bulletproof windows and men who solve problems with violence. I held her hand. Mom, I think it's too late for better, but maybe we can aim for different. And what do you mean? If I inherit, I can change things. Make the businesses legitimate. Cut ties with the drugs, the violence. Keep the construction, the unions. The real estate. Do it legally. Build something you'd be proud of. Sophia smiled through tears. You sound like him. When he was young, before the world made him hard. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. Midnight. The calm before. I couldn't sleep. Too much adrenaline, too much fear. I found Dominic on the roof, looking out over Brooklyn. The bridge lights sparkled like diamonds on black velvet. I stood beside him. Are we going to win? I don't know, he said, honestly. The commission is unpredictable. Honor matters. But so does power. And Jordan has more soldiers than I do. Then why fight? Because 24 years ago, I chose fear over love. I pushed away the best thing in my life because I was afraid of losing it. I've regretted it every single day. This is my chance to stop running, to stand and fight for what matters. I looked at the city, my city, the place I'd served coffee and poured wine and lived small. I'm scared. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Just don't let it make your decisions. He pulled out his father's watch, the Rolex that had survived car bombs and gang wars. My father gave me this when I was 28. He said, time is the only thing you can't buy back. Spend it on what matters. I spent 24 years on everything except what mattered. Don't make my mistakes, Riley. I won't, I promised. Below us, the city hummed. 8 million people living their lives, unaware that in 36 hours, 5 old men in a glass tower would decide who controlled their world. But for now, there was just a father and daughter, standing together, ready for war. Thursday, November 14th, 6 a.m., 36 hours until the commission. The FBI raided Dock 12 at 4:30 a.m. We watched it on the news. Helicopters, SWAT teams, 200 kilos of heroin seized, 15 Albanians arrested, the biggest drug bust in New York history. Jordan's phone must have been ringing off the hook. Angelo came in with fresh intelligence. Genovese just pulled his support. He's going neutral. Too risky to back Jordan now. One down, Dominic said, but Moretti's still with him, and Falcone's vote counts double. Then we convince Falcone, I said. How? Angelo asked. He's traditional, old school. He doesn't like change. Then we speak his language, I said. Honor, legacy, family. We show him that Jordan represents everything the commission was designed to prevent. Chaos, betrayal, putting personal power over the good of the families. And you think an 81-year-old man is going to listen to a 22-year-old girl? I stood up, looked at Angelo, then at Dominic. He'll listen if I speak the truth, and if I remind him that this commission was built on rules, rules that Jordan's breaking. Dominic studied me, seeing something he liked. Then tomorrow night, you speak, not me. You. Me? You're the future, Riley, not me. If the commission is going to accept you, they need to see that you understand what you're inheriting and that you're worthy of it. I felt the weight settle on my shoulders, heavy, terrifying, but also right. Okay, I said, I'll speak. Sophia took my hand. We'll write your speech together, and I'll teach you how to stand before powerful men without flinching. Dominic added, how to make them see you not as a girl, but as a Castellano. 4 p.m., the lesson. Dominic stood me in the center of the room. Angelo, Sophia, and 3 soldiers sat in chairs watching. Pretend we're the commission, Dominic said. Convince us. I took a breath, started speaking. Dominic held up a hand. Stop, you're looking at the floor. Eyes up, you're not asking for permission. You're claiming what's yours. I lifted my chin, started again. Stop, your voice is shaking. Breathe from your diaphragm. Project. We did this for 2 hours, over and over. Each time Dominic corrected something. Posture, tone, word choice, presence. By the end, I was exhausted, but I was better. Sophia watched with pride. You look like a queen, she said. I feel like an imposter. Good, Dominic said. That means you're humble. But tomorrow night, you bury that humility. Tomorrow night, you walk into that room like you own it. Because legally you do. 8 p.m., the final preparation. David woke up crying, nightmares. Sophia held him, rocked him. I want to go home, he sobbed. Soon, sweetheart, soon. Is my dad going to be there? Sophia and I exchanged glances. Your dad made some bad choices, honey. He's going to have to face consequences for those choices. Is he a bad person? One of the mouths of children. He's a person who forgot what matters, Sophia said gently. But you matter, David. You're good and brave and kind. Don't ever forget that. David fell back asleep in her arms. I sat beside them. What happens to him? After tomorrow? Sophia looked at Dominic, who'd been standing in the doorway. He comes home with us, Dominic said. All of us. We're family now. 11 p.m. The eve of battle. I stood in front of a mirror. Sophia had found me a dress. Simple. Black. Elegant. Tomorrow, I would stand before the commission. I would claim my birthright, or I would die trying. Dominic appeared behind me in the reflection. You ready? No, good. If you were, I'd worry. He handed me something. The onyx ring. Wear it tomorrow, on your finger. Not hidden. Let them see it. I slid it on. It was heavy, but it fit perfectly. 24 years, Dominic said softly. 24 years I've waited for a second chance. Tomorrow I get it. Because of you. I turned to face him. Don't put that on me. I'm terrified I'll fail. You won't. How do you know? Because you're Sophia's daughter, and she never failed at anything in her life, except picking men to fall in love with. I laughed. It felt good. Tomorrow, I said, we end this. Tomorrow we begin everything, Dominic corrected. Outside, the city prepared for Friday, for traffic and meetings and normal problems. But for us, Friday meant war. The commission was waiting, and Riley Castellano was ready. Friday, November 15th, 11 a.m., 12 hours until the commission meeting. I woke to the sound of rain. Not the gentle kind that washes things clean, but the hard, punishing kind that seems to accuse the world of sins it can't name. My body ached from 2 days of running, fighting, learning to be someone I never thought I'd become. The dress hung on the door. Black, simple, armor disguised as elegance. Today, I would stand before 5 of the most dangerous men in America and claim my birthright, or I would die trying. Sophia knocked softly before entering. She carried coffee and something that might have been breakfast. Neither of us had much appetite. Did you sleep? She asked. No, you? Not really. She sat beside me on the narrow bed. When you were little, maybe 5 years old, you asked me what your father was like. I told you he was brave, that he fought for what he believed in, that he loved you even though he couldn't be there. You weren't lying, no. I just left out the parts that would have terrified you, the violence, the blood, the impossible choices. Do you regret it? Loving him? Sophia took my hand. Her fingers were rough from years of cleaning offices, caring for other people's spaces while her own life fell apart. Every single day, and not for a single moment. I understood that contradiction now. Love isn't simple. It's not a fairy tale. It's choosing someone despite knowing exactly who they are, despite the cost. Are you going to stay with him after this? If there is an after. Sophia smiled sadly. We've wasted 24 years, Riley. I'd like to stop wasting time. 1 p.m., the rehearsal. Angelo had me stand before the empty chairs again, running through my speech, anticipating objections, preparing for every possible scenario. Dominic watched from the corner, arms crossed. He'd barely spoken all morning. The weight of what was coming pressed down on all of us. What if they don't believe the recordings, I asked. What if they think we faked them? Then you pivot, Angelo said. You talk about David, a 7-year-old boy used as leverage by his own father. Ask them if that's the kind of man who should lead a family. Make it personal. Make it about honor. I nodded, memorizing. My photographic memory was both blessing and curse. I'd remember every word, every face, every moment, even the ones I'd rather forget. Frank's death was still fresh. The way he'd turned back, held the line, given his life so a child could live. That was honor. That was sacrifice. Jordan had none of that. Jordan was hollow, empty except for ambition. If I could make the commission to see that, we had a chance. If. 3 p.m., the intelligence. Angelo's phone rang. He answered, listened. His face went pale. Hang on, he put it on speaker. The voice was female, professional, federal. This is Special Agent Sarah Morrison, FBI. Am I speaking with Angelo Russo? You are. I'm calling about the tip we received regarding the drug shipment at Dock 12. We've made 15 arrests. We're building RICO cases against the Albanian organization. But we need cooperation from someone inside the families. Why are you calling me? Because our investigation into the Castellano organization has been ongoing for 3 years. We know about Dominic, about Jordan, about the power struggle, and we know that Jordan Castellano is about to flood Brooklyn with heroin. We can stop him, but we need help. Dominic stepped forward, took the phone. This is Dominic Castellano. Silence on the other end, then a low laugh. The ghost himself. I've been chasing you for a decade, Mr. Castellano. Then you know I don't cooperate with federal agents. Not usually, but I'm offering you something you want. Jordan Castellano in federal custody, away from your family, away from the commission. We have enough evidence to arrest him tonight, before he can start a war. Dominic was quiet, calculating. What do you want in return? Full cooperation. Names, dates, financial records, everything you have on the Albanian pipeline. And immunity for you and your daughter. Clean slate. And my businesses? We're not interested in construction unions or real estate, Mr. Castellano. We want the drugs, the trafficking, the violence. You help us end that, we let you rebuild legitimately. Dominic looked at me, at Sophia, at Angelo. This was it, the choice. Cooperate with the FBI and break every rule of the life he'd lived for 40 years. Or handle Jordan the old way, with bullets and blood. I stepped forward, took the phone. Agent Morrison, this is Riley Castellano, Dominic's daughter. I have a question. Go ahead. If we cooperate, if we give you everything on Jordan and the Albanians, does the FBI shut down our legitimate businesses? No, like I said, we want the drugs, not the unions. Then you have a deal, on one condition. What condition? You arrest Jordan tonight. But you wait until after the commission meeting to make it public. We need the 5 families to see what he is before the FBI takes him. Otherwise, he becomes a martyr. Morrison was quiet for a long moment. That's risky. What if he runs? He won't run, Aishaman. I said, he thinks he's winning. He'll show up at the commission expecting to be crowned king. That's when you take him. Smart, Morrison said. Okay, deal. We arrest him after the commission. But Mr. Castellano, if you're playing me, I'll bury you so deep you'll never see daylight again. Understood, Dominic said. The call ended. Angelo stared at us like we'd grown second heads. You just agreed to cooperate with the feds. I agreed to end a war before it starts, Dominic said. To protect my daughter. To give her a chance to build something better than what I built. If that makes me a traitor to the old ways, so be it. Sophia put her hand on his shoulder. It makes you a father. 5 p.m. The preparation. Dr. Hayes arrived with a medical kit. She examined the cut on my arm from the warehouse. Cleaned it. Bandaged it. You're going to have a scar, she said. Good. I want to remember this, she smiled. You're tougher than you look. I've had good teachers. Dominic had given me a crash course in survival. How to read body language. How to spot threats. How to stand in a room full of predators and make them see you as an equal. But mostly he taught me about sacrifice. About loving something enough to give it up. About the difference between power and strength. Power is taking what you want, he'd said. Strength is knowing when to walk away. I was learning strength. 7 p.m., the drive. 3 black SUVs rolled through Manhattan. Rain hammered the windshields. The city was a blur of lights and movement. 8 million people living their lives unaware that in 3 hours, everything might change. I sat between Dominic and Sophia in the back seat. David was safe at this forge with 4 guards. We'd promised him we'd come back. I intended to keep that promise. Angela was in the lead car. 6 soldiers followed in the 3rd vehicle. This wasn't just a business meeting. This was a show of force. Dominic checked his father's watch. The Rolex caught the streetlights. 7:15, 2 hours and 45 minutes. I'm ready, I said. My voice was steady. I barely recognized it. You look like your mother, Dominic said softly. The night I proposed. She wore a white dress and looked like she could face down the world. I can't face down the world. I'm terrified. Being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means being scared and doing it anyway. Sophia took my hand. You're not alone in this, Riley. We're right beside you. I looked at these 2 people who'd loved each other for 24 years across an ocean of silence. Who'd sacrificed everything. Who'd found each other again through me. Whatever happened tonight, that was worth fighting for. 8:30 p.m. The Glass House. The building was one of those super tall Manhattan towers that seemed to pierce the sky. 72 floors of steel and glass and money. The Glass House occupied the entire top floor. Penthouse, fortress, temple. We rode the elevator in silence. My reflection stared back at me from the polished walls. A young woman in a black dress, dark hair pulled back, the onyx ring heavy on her finger. I looked like I belonged. That was the trick. Confidence was just fear wearing a good suit. The elevator doors opened. The Glass House lived up to its name. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a 360-degree view of New York. The city spread out below us like a circuit board, lights pulsing with electric life. In the center of the room, a massive circular table, black marble, 5 chairs, 5 old men who controlled everything. They were already seated, waiting. Don Carmine Falcone sat at the head, 81 years old, oxygen tank beside him. But his eyes were sharp as broken glass. This was the chairman. His vote counted double. To his right, Don Vincent Russo, Angelo's cousin, 62, thick white hair, expensive suit. He nodded slightly as we entered. Allied. To Falcone's left, Don Anthony Moretti, 54, sharp-featured, calculating, unknown allegiance, dangerous. Beside him, Don Marcus Genovese, 59, gold jewelry, slicked hair, opportunistic, recently withdrawn support from Jordan, neutral. And at the far end, Jordan Castellano, my cousin, 33 years old, handsome in a cruel way. Designer tuxedo, a smile that didn't reach his eyes. When he saw me, the smile widened. Uncle Dom, cousin Riley, so glad you could make it. I was worried you might not show. Dominic's face was stone. We're here, let's get this over with. Falcone raised a weathered hand. His voice was a rasp through the oxygen mask. This commission is called to settle the matter of Castellano's succession. Dominic Castellano claims right to name his heir. Jordan Castellano claims right to inherit as next of blood. State your cases. 9 p.m., the testimony. Dominic stood, commanded the room without saying a word. 3 days ago, I discovered I have a daughter, Riley Castellano, born to Sophia Rossi, the woman I loved and pushed away to save her life. DNA. Evidence confirms paternity. She is my blood, my heir. He placed a leather folder on the table. Dr. Hayes' report. 99.98% probability. Falcone looked at the documents, passed them to the other dons. Legitimate blood claim, he wheezed. But the question remains, is she fit to lead? Jordan stood. His voice was smooth, practiced. Esteemed dons, my uncle brings us a waitress, a child who's known about this world for 3 days. She has no training, no understanding of our traditions, no right to stand in this room. He turned to me. With all due respect, cousin, you're in over your head. This life eats people who aren't prepared. I've been groomed for this for 25 years, since I was 8 years old, since my father died for this family. His voice cracked on the last words. Real emotion, real pain. I understand your pain, Jordan. I stood. Every eye turned to me. Losing your father at 8 years old, watching him bleed out. That kind of trauma doesn't heal. It shapes you, changes you. I walked around the table, slowly, deliberately. As I moved, my photographic memory cataloged every detail. Falcone's oxygen tank hissing, Moretti's left hand twitching near his pocket, Genovese unable to meet Jordan's eyes, Russo nodding slightly at me. But pain is a choice. You can let it make you stronger, or you can let it hollow you out, make you cruel. What are you saying? I stopped behind Jordan's chair. I'm saying you took your son, 7-year-old David, and used him as leverage. You tied him to a chair, let men hit him, all to get what you want. I turned to Falcone. Don Falcone in the Commission Charter of 1931, Article 7 states that any member who brings harm to innocent children forfeits all protection and standing. I memorized the charter 2 days ago. Every word. Jordan violated Article 7. Falcone's eyebrows raised. Few people knew the charter that well. Fewer still could quote it from memory. She's correct, Falcone wheezed, looking at the others. Article 7 is absolute, gasps around the table. Jordan's face went red. That's a lie. I pulled out my phone, played the recording. Jordan's voice filled the room. My son is leverage, nothing more. Use him however you need. Silence. Moretti looked ill. Even Genovese shifted uncomfortably. You recorded me, Jordan hissed. I documented the truth. There's a difference. Falcone held up a hand. Is this true, Jordan? Did you endanger your own child? Jordan's composure cracked. He was desperate, panicking. You don't understand. I had to. Dominic was going to give everything to her after everything I've done, everything I've sacrificed. Sacrificed? I stepped closer. You've sacrificed nothing. You've waited, scheming, planning, but you've never bled for this family. Frank Mancini bled. He died saving David, your son. And where were you, making deals with the Albanians? Another recording, played for the room. The heroin shipment arrives Tuesday. Doc 12, 200 kilos. That was Jordan's voice. You're selling drugs through our docks, I said. Making deals with the same people who tried to kill Dominic 24 years ago. You're not preserving this family. You're destroying it. 9:30 p.m. The breakdown. Jordan was unraveling, years of controlled ambition exploding into rage. You think you're better than me? He jabbed a finger at me, Phil. You're a waitress, a nobody. You don't deserve this. Neither do you, I said quietly. This family, these families, they're built on honor, on protecting your own. You sold out your son. You sold out the docks. You've broken every rule we have. We? You've been in this world for 3 days. And in 3 days, I've learned more about honor than you've learned in 25 years. Falcone spoke. His voice was final. The commission has heard enough. We vote, all in favor of Riley Castellano as heir to the Castellano family and legitimate successor to Dominic Castellano. Don Russo raised his hand. Yes. Don Genovese hesitated, then raised his hand. Yes, she's right. Jordan's broken too many rules. Don Moretti sat silent, then slowly raised his hand. Yes, I will not support a man who endangers children. 3-0, Falcone nodded. As chairman, I add my vote. Yes, the succession is decided. Riley Castellano is the heir. He looked at Jordan. Jordan Castellano, you are expelled from this commission. You have no protection, no standing. You are cast out. Jordan's face went white, then purple with rage. No, he screamed. No, if I can't have it, none of you can. He reached into his jacket. Gun. Everything happened at once. Dominic moved to shield me. Sophia screamed. The bodyguards drew weapons. Jordan aimed. Not at me, at Dominic. If you won't give me my inheritance, uncle, then I'll take it. His finger tightened on the trigger. Bang. But the shot didn't come from Jordan's gun. It came from behind him. Jordan's eyes went wide. He looked down. Red bloomed across his white shirt. He crumpled. Behind him, Agent Sarah Morrison stood in the doorway. FBI, a tactical vest. Service weapon raised. Morrison had been positioned in the secure hallway, waiting to make the arrest after the commission ended. But the moment Jordan drew his weapon and aimed at Dominic, the plan changed. She couldn't let a murder happen on her watch. Not after Dominic had given the FBI everything they needed to dismantle the Albanian network. Federal agents poured into the room. Jordan Castellano, you're under arrest for drug trafficking, racketeering, attempted murder, and child endangerment. Jordan lay on the floor, gasping. The bullet had hit his shoulder. Not fatal, but enough. 2 agents hauled him to his feet, read him his rights. As they dragged him past me, Jordan looked at me with pure hatred. This isn't over. Yes, I said quietly. It is. They took him away. 10 p.m., the aftermath. Falcone looked at Agent Morrison. Then at Dominic. You brought the FBI to a commission meeting. I brought justice, Dominic said. Jordan was selling drugs, endangering children, breaking every code we have. The FBI wanted him. I gave him to them. Moretti stood. You cooperated with federal agents. That's a violation. Of what? I asked. Of rules that let men like Jordan hurt children? Of codes that protect drug dealers over innocent people? If that's what this commission stands for, maybe it needs to change. Falcone studied me for a long moment. You're bold, like your father, but smarter. He turned to Dominic. The commission will allow this, once, because Jordan's crimes were severe. But don't mistake our leniency for approval. You've broken omerta. There will be consequences. I accept them, Dominic said. Falcone looked at me. You have much to learn, Riley Castellano. This world is old, complex, dangerous, but you've proven you understand honor. That's a start. He extended a hand, weathered, spotted with age. Welcome to the commission. I shook his hand. It felt like shaking hands with history itself. The Dons began to leave, one by one, until only Dominic, Sophia, Angelo, and I remained in that glass tower overlooking the city. We did it, I whispered. Dominic put his arm around me. You did it. You stood before the most dangerous men in New York and made them see you as an equal. That's not something that can be taught. That's who you are. Sophia hugged us both. Can we go home now? Home. The word felt strange. I'd lived in the same apartment for 22 years, but it had never felt like home. Maybe home was something you built, not something you found. Yes, I said, let's go home. Saturday, November 16th, 10 a.m., I woke in a bed that wasn't mine, in a house that was too big, in a life that still felt like someone else's dream. But when I went downstairs, I found Sophia making breakfast, Dominic reading the newspaper, David eating cereal and swinging his legs. It felt like family. The newspaper headline read, Massive FBI raid breaks up drug trafficking ring. 15 arrests including Castellano family member. Jordan would go to prison. 20 years minimum. Maybe life. The Albanians were being deported. The docks were clean. and the Castellano family was mine to rebuild. Agent Morrison had kept her word, immunity for Dominic and me. In exchange, we'd given her everything, names, dates, financial records. The Albanian pipeline was dead. The FBI didn't care about construction unions or real estate investments. They wanted the drugs. We gave them the drugs. Now came the hard part, building something legitimate, something that didn't require bulletproof windows and armed guards. Angelo arrived mid-morning with contracts, stacks of them. "These are your businesses now," he said. Construction, 4 unions, 3 waste management companies, real estate holdings across Brooklyn and Manhattan. Estimated total value $2.3 billion. I stared at the papers, at the weight of empire. "How do I do this?" "One day at a time," Angelo said. "You hire good people. You make fair deals. You cut out anything that isn't legitimate. And you prove that the Castellano name can mean something other than fear." Dominic joined us at the table. "I'm retiring, officially. I'll consult, advise. But this is your show now, Riley. What will you do? Live. For the first time in 40 years, I'm going to actually live. Take your mother to dinner. Watch David grow up. Maybe even smile occasionally." Sophia laughed from the kitchen. "Don't make promises you can't keep." But Dominic was smiling, a real smile. Not the cruel twist I'd first seen, but something genuine, warm. He looked 10 years younger. 1 week later, Saturday, November 23rd, we buried Frank Mancini on a gray morning that matched the mood. 50 people came. Soldiers, friends, family. Dominic gave the eulogy. Frank Mancini served this family for 20 years. He was loyal, brave. He died protecting a child. There is no higher honor in our world. We will remember him, and we will make sure his sacrifice meant something. We lowered him into the ground. I dropped a rose on the casket. "Thank you," I whispered, "for saving David, for saving me." 2 weeks later, early December, I stood in the conference room of Castellano Development Group. New name, new mission, same buildings, but different purpose. 15 people sat around the table. Union representatives, construction managers, legal advisors, all watching me with varying degrees of skepticism. I was 22 years old. I looked even younger. But I wore the onyx ring, and I spoke with authority I'd learned from Dominic. This company will be fully legitimate within 18 months. Any operations that can't be made legal will be shut down. Any employee involved in illegal activity will be terminated. We're building a new legacy. Anyone who can't adapt should leave now. No one left. We're going to be the most competitive construction firm in New York, not because we cheat, not because we bribe, but because we hire the best people and we do excellent work. Questions? A man in the back, 60 years old, looked skeptical. "What makes you think you can do this? Change decades of how we operate?" "Because I don't have a choice. The old ways are dead. The FBI is watching. The commission is watching. We adapt or we die. I choose adapt." He nodded slowly. "Okay, I'm in." One by one, they all agreed. We were building something new, something my mother could be proud of, something David could inherit without shame. 3 months later, February. Winter in New York is brutal. But there's something beautiful about the city under snow. Clean, fresh, like anything is possible. David started second grade at a private school in Manhattan. Sophia went with him to parent-teacher conferences, playing grandmother, loving every minute. Dominic and Sophia got married in a small ceremony. Just family, just us. I stood as maid of honor. Watched them say vows they should have said 24 years ago. Watched them dance to Frank Sinatra. Watched them finally get their happy ending. It wasn't perfect. Dominic still had nightmares. Sophia still flinched at loud noises. The trauma of their past didn't just disappear, but they were together. And that was enough. 6 months later, May, Castellano Development Group won the contract to build a new community center in Red Hook. $40 million. Fully legal, fully legitimate. I stood at the groundbreaking ceremony, cameras flashing, politicians smiling, everything above board. "This center will serve 5,000 families," I said into the microphone. "It will provide job training, after-school programs, medical services." This is what the Castellano name means now. Service, community, building up instead of tearing down. Applause. In the crowd, I saw Dominic, Sophia, Angelo, David, my family. After the ceremony, Agent Morrison approached. "I have to admit, I didn't think you could do it." "Do what? Go legitimate." Most crime families can't make the transition. Too much temptation. Too much easy money in the old ways. We're not most families. No, you're not. She handed me a card. If you ever need anything, call. You've kept up your end of the deal. The FBI appreciates that. She walked away. I looked at the card, then threw it in the trash. I was done with deals, done with leverage, done with playing games. I was just Riley, running a company, taking care of family, living a life my mother could be proud of. 1 year later, November 15th, the anniversary of the commission meeting. 1 year since everything changed, I stood in my office. 42nd floor, view of the Brooklyn Bridge, the same bridge where Dominic proposed to Sophia 25 years ago. Full circle. The company was thriving, 800 employees, all legitimate work, revenue up 40%, zero federal investigations. Jordan was in federal prison. David visited him once a month. Sophia insisted. She said even monsters deserve a second chance at redemption. I wasn't sure I agreed, but I respected her faith in human nature. Frank's family received a pension, fully funded, forever. It was the least I could do. The Albanian organization was dismantled. The docks were clean. Brooklyn was safer. And I was 23 years old, running an empire, learning every day, making mistakes, fixing them, growing. Dominic knocked on my door. Come in. He entered, looked around the office, smiled. Your grandfather would be proud. He built this company with blood and violins. You're rebuilding it with integrity. That takes more courage. I'm terrified every day that I'll fail. Good. Complacency is the enemy. Fear keeps you sharp. He handed me a wrap box. What's this? Your birthday was last month. I missed it. Again. 23 years of missed birthdays. I'm trying to make up for lost time. I opened it. Inside was a watch, not a Rolex, something simpler. Elegant. It was your grandmother's. She gave it to me before she died. Said to give it to my daughter. I never thought I'd have one. But here you are. I put it on. It fit perfectly. Thank you. Dominic looked out the window. At the bridge. At the city. I wasted 24 years running from the best thing that ever happened to me. Don't make my mistakes, Riley. When you find something worth keeping, hold on tight. I will. He left. I sat at my desk, looked at the watch, at the ring, at the city spread out below. 1 year ago, I was a waitress. Now I was Riley Castellano, CEO daughter, protector of a family business built on blood, but rebuilt with hope. The phone rang. Angelo. Riley, we have a situation. The Genovese family wants to meet. They're proposing a partnership. Construction project in Queens. Legitimate? Completely. Set it up. I hung up, smiled. This was my life now. Meetings, negotiations. Building things, not destroying them. Sophia knocked. Brought coffee. How's my girl? Your girl is learning. Every day. Good. That's all anyone can do. She kissed my forehead. Your father and I are taking David to Coney Island this weekend. Want to come? Coney Island, where it all started, where Dominic proposed, where that photograph was taken 25 years ago. Yeah, I'd like that. Sunday. Coney Island. The boardwalk was crowded. Families, tourists, kids eating cotton candy. The smell of the ocean, the sound of seagulls. We walked together, the four of us. Dominic holding Sophia's hand, David running ahead, laughing. Me walking behind, watching them. This was happiness. Simple, quiet, real. We stopped at the same spot where the photograph was taken, the one Dominic had kept for 24 years. Sophia pulled out her phone. Let's recreate it. We posed, Dominic and Sophia in the center, me and David on the sides, the ocean behind us. The city skyline in the distance. Smile, Sophia said. We smiled. The camera clicked. Perfect, she said, looking at the image. Absolutely perfect. We walked to the end of the pier, looked out at the water, at the Statue of Liberty in the distance, at freedom. Dominic put his arm around me. Regrets, he asked? Only that it took us so long to find each other. Me too. But we're here now. That's what matters. Yes, we're here. The sun set over New York, red and gold and beautiful. The city glowed like embers. 8 million lives burning bright. We were just 4 of them. But we mattered. We'd changed things, made them better. That was legacy. Not money, not power, but the choice to build something good from broken pieces. I looked at the ring on my finger, the hawk and rose, once a symbol of violence, now a symbol of hope. Riley, David called. Come see this. I went. Behind me, Dominic and Sophia stood together. 2 people who'd loved across 24 years of silence, who'd found each other again, who'd created something beautiful in me. I was their legacy, and I would honor it, not with violence, not with fear, but with integrity, with strength, with love. The onyx ring caught the sunset, gleamed like a promise. This was my life now, my choice, my path, and I was ready. Monday morning, back to work. The headline in the New York Times business section read, Castellano Development Group wins contract for affordable housing project. Mayor praises new direction for historic company. I framed it, hung it on the wall. Next to it, the Coney Island photograph. Old and new, past and future. Angelo came in with the day's schedule. Meeting at 10 with the architects. Lunch with Don Russo. 3 p.m. conference call with the bank about financing. 5 p.m. interview with Forbes about being the youngest female CEO in construction. I groaned, interview? Your news, Riley. 23-year-old woman running a multi-billion-dollar company. They want your story. What do I tell them? The truth, that you inherited a legacy of violence and chose to build something better. That's a good story. I supposed it was. The phone rang. Sophia. Hi, Mom. Hi, baby. Just wanted to say good luck today and that your father and I love you. Love you too. I hung up, looked at the city. My city. Angelo lingered at the door. Riley. For what it's worth, Frank would be proud of what you've built, what you're building. Thank you. That means a lot. He left. I sat at my desk, 23 years old, impossibly young for this, but doing it anyway. The onyx ring felt lighter now, not a burden, a reminder of where I came from, where I was going, who I chose to be. Outside, New York hummed, 8 million stories. This was mine. A waitress who became a queen, not through violence, not through fear, but through choice, through courage, through love. That was the legacy, not the ring, not the empire, but the decision every single day to be better than what came before. I picked up the phone, started making calls, building things, creating jobs, helping families. This was power, real power, the kind that changed lives without destroying them. And I was just getting started. The ghost of Brooklyn had found peace. The daughter he never knew existed had given him redemption. And Riley Castellano had found herself. Not in spite of her father's world, but because of it. She'd seen the darkness and chose the light. That was the true legacy, the one worth inheriting, the one worth building. The onyx ring gleamed in the morning sun, the hawk and rose, war and beauty, past and in future, darkness and light, all of it, together, balanced. That was the secret, not choosing one over the other, but holding both, acknowledging the past, building the future. I was Riley Castellano, daughter, CEO, builder of legacies, and my story was just beginning.